Josh Green here for SecondsOut. Delighted to be joined in Sheffield by my good friend Mr. Adam Smith here at GBM Nowhere to Hide. How are you doing, Adam?
I'm good, Josh. I'm a little bit jaded from last week, as I'm sure everybody was. What an incredible few days, and such a night at Wembley Stadium, and obviously the debate, the fallout, the celebrations for Daniel, everything after that. Really interesting time in boxing, and we move with GBM, with the show that we've been planning for a long time. I think it's the best show that Izzy has put on so far. Top to bottom, it's absolutely stacked. Some fantastic fights, and I hope people tune in on Friday night to watch it on DAZN, because I think it's as good as any card I've seen in a long time, certainly at this level.
We'll come on to Wembley in a little bit, but in Sheffield on Friday night, those top 5-6 fights, they are real pick-em fights and real all-action fights as well. I think what can be expected of them when it comes to Friday night? Yeah,
really, really good. Even Maxie Hughes coming back has got a fantastic and tough fight with the Greek god who's been training in Preston with Scott Fitzgerald's dad, and they've had training camps they set up there for 6-7 weeks. The underdogs, the ones that are coming in to throw their luck, try their luck, grab the opportunities, not the home fighters. Christian Tan, another one, he's had weeks in Miami to prepare for this, and it's great to see live opponents. So often we see cards which are heavily weighted in favour of the red side or the left side, and I understand it. Obviously, it's very difficult to move fighters through without keeping them going with different sort of styles and prospects, but they have to build up a good record. So you've got to have fights that you're going to win at times. But I think the beauty of what Izzy and the GBM team are trying to do here is to give these sort of 55-45 fights where surprises are not that surprising, if you see what I mean. So like Niall Berry losing in Coventry, one of our fighters, and undefeated and really, really talented, but got beaten. Badarosa, who was undefeated as well, and it was disappointing for his team and obviously sort of the home team, but not surprising because it was a 50-50 fight. So that's what the fans want to see. They don't want to know who's going to win the fight before they see it. You've got a sense. You can look at records. You can get the feel of who the promoter is hoping maybe to get through the fights. But I think with these, all of those could be very engaging, interesting, possibly thrilling fights. I think Reece Mould and Ryan Walsh could be stylistically the one that catches fire the most. I think Tycee Gallagher and Tori Ellis Wellits is a really interesting fight. I think that could go either way. And I think Shaquille Thompson should be favourite to beat River Wilson Bent, but I haven't seen River this fired up for a fight. He is so confident. The team have seen Bradley Goldsmith beat Shaquille Thompson in the amateurs. They got the bit between the teeth. I came and saw River in training. I went to Shaq in training. We sort of all went around the UK and tried to see as many of the fighters as we could. And that's going to be fireworks. Shaq and River. You've heard them in the press conference. They both want it so much, and Shaquille believes he's too good for River. River believes he's been in with far better people than Shaquille Thompson. So I think that can only be a cracker, however long it lasts. And Hughie Fury and Christian Tan, I think the heavyweights, we need to see Hughie Fury knocking people out now. And he sounded up there as though that's what he wants. So I think it's a great show. I think you had Amir Akbar, Jack Bateson, the farm boy Ed Hardy, Kobe McNamara and all the others. I think it's great. I think it's wonderful for British fighters that they can get out so quickly after a huge show like last weekend, and they carry on, and they've all got interesting tests, tough tests. Should be a brilliant atmosphere. Really looking forward to this one.
I was going to say with Hughie Fury, he's a man of few words, but he seemed a little bit amped up, seemed a little bit fired up there, which is something that we haven't seen from him for some time. He's a real danger man in this division. If he gets a win over Christian Turn, who is by no means a gimme on Friday night, he can start to propel himself closer to that world title scene where he believes he should be.
And he's going into a live fight, and I think that's what's got Hughie Fury going. I think the last couple have been warm-ups or easing him back in after the 3-year absence, but I think he knows in Christian Turner, a fighter he believes he'll beat and come through, but I think he knows that there's someone in front of him who's got a ton of knockouts and some real ambition as well, and he's 6'9.5", so you can't take anyone lightly. And I like the way that Hughie's a little bit fired up. I went to see Peter and Hughie in the Cotswolds, and everything was quite nice and steady, and now I think he really realises what's on the line. I think he's seen what Daniel Dubois has done at the weekend. I think he feels he's as good as any of them, but he's got to prove it. It's no point, he's had the time out, it's no point getting through these 6-8 round fights and not entertaining us or just showcasing his skills. It's not enough. He needs knockouts. He needs to prove that he can go onto that Saudi stage, and he could be just 2-3 wins away from it, Hughie Fury. So it's a big night for him.
Talking about what Daniel Dubois did at the weekend, absolutely superb performance. There's no other way to describe it against Daniel Dubois. Shocking many people. Any shock from yourself that the way that fight unfolded?
Yeah, shock the manner of victory for Daniel Dubois. I thought he was absolutely outstanding from the moment he walked in. I thought he sort of waltzed into the ring, and he had no respect. He was ruthless. He got hold of the middle of the ring, a bit like Alexander Usyk did first time around against Joshua at Spurs, and he didn't let Joshua settle. Great jab, great feet, hurt him. AJ's feet were poor, his hands were down. Of course, he was courageous and brave and tried. And in that 5th round, you just had that slight moment at the end of the 4th where you thought, has he let him off the hook here? Shouldn't he have put him away 2 or 3 times? And he just looked a little tired, a little jaded at the end of the 4th, Dubois. And then Joshua comes out and he settles in, and you think, hang on, this is a different beast. And he's landed an uppercut on the right hand, and boom, wow, what a right hand counter shot. And Daniel Dubois was outstanding, brilliant, outfought, outboxed, outclassed, dare we say, Anthony Joshua. I thought he was, wonderful. And for AJ, it was a crushing defeat. It was sad to see in many ways. This has been, our British fighting hero, an icon of the sport, and Wembley was his home, and to see that happen to him at his big place with his crowd was really hard to watch. So I was sort of really pleased for Daniel, really happy for Don Charles and the team who've worked so hard with him. Fantastic for heavyweight boxing that there's a 27-year-old young lion in that sort of form, but obviously shocked and sad for Anthony that he was on the cusp of becoming a 3-time heavyweight champion. Everybody I spoke to felt AJ by knockout. And it just goes to show that I don't know whether it was slightly, not motivated. I think he had an incredibly good camp. I think maybe slightly overlooking, maybe slightly underestimating. I don't know. There was something that Joshua didn't have on Saturday night when he went into the ring, and Ben Davison had the game plan. Everything was right, but the feet didn't work and the hands were lazy, and he looked amateurish at times. So you can't take anything away from what Daniel did, but you've got to look at. I mean, I haven't seen AJ that bad ever or for a long time, and I think that it'd be very interesting to see what happens next. He'll want to go back in with Daniel straight away. I'm not sure that's the wisest thing. I think that he needs to take some time to really rest, and I know he's a gym bunny. I know he wants to be back in there straight away. I think he needs just to take a little reset here. He's had a good little spell with Ben Davison, albeit at slightly lower level, and he's gone in with in a big fight. Maybe he thought he couldn't do that to him. I don't know, but Daniel was brilliant, and he was good when I saw them spar years ago. I think maybe AJ overthought it. I don't know. He'll go back to the drawing board. Eddie was genuinely gutted, so was Ben Davis, and he was shell-shocked, Ben. So obviously nothing he did in training, which means that maybe he still has got plenty to offer if they saw what they saw in training. It is always different on fight night, but the manner of defeat, the manner of victory shocked me. The manner of defeat for Joshua, yeah, they need to think about what they do, and I would wait for the Tyson Fury-Alexander Usyk rematch before they decide anything. Because I think the Fury-Joshua fight could be made in 2025, and maybe it is the right fight for AJ to go back into, because he won't want a small fight. You think, who can he beat now? Wilder's gone. It's a very strange situation he finds himself in. He'll want Daniel Dubois like Andy Ruiz. He'll want to try and right the wrong. Can he? We don't know. On the evidence of the first fight, unlikely. But it could all be very different second time around if AJ got his jab going and did what he was supposed to do. Can he do it now? Will he do it? Will he turn the tables on Dubois? That's fascinating, Josh. But if I was the team, I would just take my time. I think Eddie's already said that, and just wait to see what happens December 21st. And then they talk to Turkey and work out what's the biggest money fight, what's the most entertaining fight, what's the fight maybe he's got the best chance of becoming a world champion again, because he wants to become a 3-time world champion. And on the evidence of Saturday night, he's off that. He's a long way off it, and they're going to have to do something completely different. So it's a difficult one for AJ. He will be back. He's come back before. He's a competitor. He was brilliantly brave. I don't like the fact people are getting on his back and all that. I hate seeing that. Courageous, tough, incredible for our sport. Inspired everybody. But how much more is left? I don't know. They're going to have to take some time and have a rest. As for Daniel, the world's his oyster. Will it be Usyk? Will it be Fury? It could be anyone. Joe Parker, they're all lining up. Brilliant to see after his adversity, his trials and tribulations. People wrote him off after the Joe Joyce fight, and again after Usyk. Write that guy off at your peril. He is one tough guy and one excellent now world heavyweight champion, properly retaining all this. Is he an IBF champion or not? He's the world heavyweight champion, Daniel Dubois, and he's 27 and he's British, and we should be shouting about Daniel Dubois. So yes, a lot of attention on AJ, but we should be shouting about how Daniel Dubois has done this through all the ups and downs. I think it's a brilliant result for him and his team. It's vindication for Don Charles in many ways. I know how happy he is, and Kieran Farrell and the guys who believed, because not many believed. We all thought AJ by knockout, let's be honest, nearly everybody. And we were wrong. I always thought Daniel had a chance, but I never thought it would unfold like that. He was devastating and brilliant, and he deserves all the plaudits. But so does AJ for being brave, for going for it, for braving out and facing the press afterwards. He could have snuck off at Wembley. He didn't. He came out, and I think that shows what the man's about. I love him. I love AJ, and it's not the end. He will be back, but they've got to be careful with the choice of opponent. They've got to be intelligent, and it will be fascinating to see what happens next. The heavyweight landscape, you never know. It's so unpredictable. It's so exciting, and that's why we all turn up and keep coming.
Do we think AJ versus Fury is more feasible if Fury loses in the rematch to Usyk, or if Fury beats Usyk?
Yeah, I think if he loses to Usyk, I think they can make AJ Fury at Wembley in May. That happens. I think if Fury beats Usyk, that might be more of a complication, because Usyk won a third fight. Daniel Dubois in the mix. It's hard. And what will Fury want to do? But then Fury might just say, "I'll take a defence against Joshua." As Eddie said, it's probably still the biggest fight in the division, certainly in this country. Is it as big as it once was? No. But do people still want to see AJ and Fury and AJ? Absolutely 100%. Kell Brook and Amir Khan had lost. I mean, didn't they? Yeah. People turn up for that. They still wanted that fight. Mayweather Pacquiao was too late. Still turned up for that. I think there is something about Fury and Joshua that we do want to see it. And another defeat, if AJ loses to Dubois again, would surely finish that. So I'm not saying he will. He could turn the tables and beat Dubois. We don't know. That's a different night and a different fight. But if I was them, I'd be thinking less about a rematch with Dubois at this stage and more about what happens with Fury and Usyk, because if they can make that Fury fight, I think they probably should in 2025. And if AJ beats Fury, hey, he could go back in with Dubois for all the belts, for all the titles, if we're whatever, undisputed, not undisputed. Look, there's just so much in there, isn't there? You look at Parker and Zhang and Martin Bacoli. It's fantastic. Heavyweight division is flying. It's buzzing. It's alive. It's well. It's great to see. And it's a topsy-turvy world. And did you know it's 30 years since Lennox Lewis was stopped by Oliver McCall just over the road at Wembley Arena, almost to the day. Almost to the day. Mad, isn't it? Crazy. And Lennox was there. It is, isn't it? There's and there was a supermoon last week as well. Maybe that's why it all strange things happen. Yeah, it was a shock to me, the manner. Not necessarily that Dubois won by knockout, but it was a shock at how he won it. Devastating, and that's heavyweight boxing. 15 minutes can just change our sport. But yeah, I'm proud of both fighters, the way they've come out of it, and they move on.
Final thing I do want to touch on is from Saturday night, and Josh Warrington. We saw him put his gloves in the middle of the ring. What a terrific career Josh Warrington has had, if that is to be the end for him.
They say don't fall in love with fighters. I fall in love with too many. Josh Warrington is certainly somebody I adore, I have huge respect for. I got to know him very early on in his pro career, really, when he was the away fighter and he had a couple of good wins, and suddenly he became a bit of a name at Sky, and he had this job as a dental technician, and he was selling tickets on his estate, and it was a little bit like the Ricky Hatton story, actually. And Ricky was unique, but it was the same sort of thing. Big football following, Leeds United, everyone getting behind him, and just to watch Josh and that atmosphere in that first direct arena there with a bank of fans and how it grew, and then he had his nights at Ellen Road, and I think he's been an incredible fighter and a credit to the sport. He is a wonderful human being. He is a true man of the people, and he loves his fans, and he's grateful for everything he's had. He's been exactly the same as I've always known him. I thought he fought on Saturday night as though it was his last fight. I think it was a slight acceptance the way he fought Kakachi. Obviously he didn't do enough, but he didn't want to go out in any other way than getting through that fight on a big stage with a good, nice payday at the end, all full of respect. Kakachi goes on, a little bit too good for him. Josh was up in weight, and it's I was talking to Maxie Hughes about it. Yeah, it's a little bit of Father Time, it's a little bit of the weight, it's a little bit of Kakachi, I give him credit, really good fighter, bit of everything. Josh Warrington, Leeds warrior through and through, and one of the great domestic stories of recent years. And I'll always have so much time for Josh, and look forward to seeing what he's going to do now, because he could give so much back to the sport.
Adam, pleasure as always, and we'll see you on Friday night.
Cheers, Josh.